Hello, everyone. My name is Wayne,
And I'm Rebecca.
and we are your Bourbon Journey.
Welcome to episode 19 of Bourbon Trail Tales and Tastes. It's that same weekend, if you can believe it, right before Halloween of 2022, October 30th to be exact. It was a very busy weekend for us. And we are visiting our 24th distillery. Where are we going? Well, if you see the bottle of Blanton's on here, you might guess it's Buffalo Trace. If you didn't know, Buffalo Trace is not part of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Thus, we didn't get a stamp in our book and we don't have our state out today. But we will visit a lot of distilleries that are not on the Bourbon Trail, so that's just fine with us. So, what do you remember about that day, Wayne, about the trail and everything?
I've said many times before it was hot. That day it was not. It was wet.
Mm-hmm.
It was pouring down rain.
Yeah, the whole thing was, gosh, how can we do this? I was worried about being able to take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to get in and out? We had a great guide named, I think, Eugene.
Yes.
And he said he does this all the time. And he has special pathways he takes that will keep us in the rain as minimal as possible and then get us into buildings where he'll tell the stories. So there wasn't a lot of conversation happening along the pathways or outside the buildings, which was great. We had all the conversations inside, which we appreciated very much.
We did. We hightailed it from one place to the other. We didn't run, but he got us there fairly quickly to shade, or to, not shade, but we got us to dry air. To cover.
Yeah.
To cover.
Yeah, and Buffalo Trace is just such a huge distillery. It's really interesting and it's very old. So seeing all the old, really brick buildings was really fascinating for me. I loved it when we went in that one building that had so many barrels. And obviously, it's not a huge barrel house for them, but
Right.
But it's a place, I think, where they probably sort barrels out and they're getting ready for the next process. I think it was a staging area for before they get ready to really start dumping them and such. But even the barrels looked old. Everything looked old. It was like a throwback, and I really enjoyed that piece of it, I think.
Yeah, everything looked old. The barrels looked old. The buildings looked old. I looked in the mirror. I looked old. You know, it was a lot of old going on there.
Yeah, they walked us around and we saw different aspects. And he would explain what the buildings were about, how they may have been used traditionally, how they're being used today. It was really cool for me to see they had that rail system almost where they could roll things through and take things around. You know, barrels are not lightweight in any way, shape, or form. I will say that we've been back several times for waiting in line for morning bottles and things of that nature. And last fall during Bourbon on the Banks, we went on a gorgeous day. We didn't do a tour or anything, but we certainly spent some time just walking the grounds and enjoying it. So it was nice to see it in the sunshine, because I think every time we'd been there, it had been either rainy or cold.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
So that was really good. I also got a kick out of there's a separate building for Blanton's, and since we're tasting Blanton's today, might as well talk about that. But it has its own building for the single barrel, and it's the Blanton's room, that Blanton's building basically. And you could see, and they were actually bottling. So, and they do hand bottle these, and that was pretty interesting. And they do everything with them and get the little horsey on there and everything, and they were boxing them up. So that was really fascinating to see. I can't remember anything else specific. Can you?
Well, one thing that I remember as well, we talked about this a little bit earlier. We actually went over pictures, kind of trying to bring back memories.
It's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years, but they had these 4 barrels that had clear tops to them, and they were laying on their side, and it gave estimated years for each one, which basically showed how much evaporation had happened in those periods of time. And that was kind of an eye-opener for myself. And it's funny, until we went over the pictures, I'd forgotten about it. Looking at the pictures, it just reminded me that first thing I remember thinking, looking at this, is why in the world are they paying taxes on a barrel and they're losing that amount of bourbon over a period of time? That I remember.
Well, and I recall thinking, I get it now. I understand why 10, 15, 20-year-old bottles of bourbon cost so much, because the yield is so small.
Mhm.
I mean, you can just see that. I mean, the yield is just down to like this part of the barrel when you're talking like a 20-year-old. It's really crazy. And I know a lot of people complain about the prices of bourbon, especially when it gets a little bit older, but you can understand they waited on this spirit. They waited. They were patient, right? Paying, as Wayne said, paying taxes on this, and didn't sell it, and waited until it was just right for that particular offering. And it deserves to be priced a little higher. You know, I mean, you got to do business. If you want to stay in business, you have to have some good business sense too.
You know, I've collected baseball cards in my life, and it's funny for myself. I never question the price because there's certain scarcities of certain cards over time, and it makes sense. If there's less of something, more than likely the price is going to be higher.
And I just remembered another place we stopped. We didn't get to stop there very long because, again, it was pouring down rain, but we kind of took a picture from afar. But we did revisit it another day. But that is the teeniest little building where it displays, initially it was their millionth barrel building. And you could look through a glass, and everybody who was working that day pretty much signs the barrel, which is really cool. So that just keeps coming out, right? And they keep putting the most recent milestone in there. But when we met with Freddie Johnson at one time, and he talked about, you know, certain people they actually do bottle those barrels, and when it's time for it to come out and the next one to go in, and he's gotten a few of those bottles. Yeah. Not surprisingly. He's a pretty special guy. So.
Well, he's kind of one of the big fish out there, you know, and he has those amazing connections. I'm not sure why, but he's able to get that type of stuff. And that's good. You're there, you earn it. You deserve it.
I've never seen him without a smile on his face, you know? So that's probably helps too.
He enjoys his job.
Yeah, and people. So then after we did all that, and Eugene was doing this great job of keeping us dry, we went back into the main building upstairs, which we had the tasting room. And I remember being all panicked because, you know, we had never had any purchases from Buffalo Trace before. We had heard that there was Blanton's that day, and we were really into Blanton's then, so we'd never had it. So we really just had to get it. And we were just like, oh no. And he kept saying, don't worry about it. We always take care of people that are on tours. And I said, okay. But it was getting to be closing time because we had the last tour of the day, because we had done Jeff the Creed earlier in the morning. So it was the very last tour of the day. And I was having trouble focusing on the tasting because I kept thinking, we got to get out there and get this bottle, or we're going to have to come back some other day. But of course, they had it all planned out. They knew the number of tours for the day. They knew the number of people, one per bottle, one per person rather. They knew how many to set aside to really save them for people that were doing the tours, not just standing in line in the morning. So there was nothing to be concerned about. But back to the tasting, it was a 6-part tasting, which I thought was pretty amazing. Do you remember some of the things that were on it?
Well, there was Eagle Rare,
Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace. They had Freddie Johnson's root beer.
They had the Buffalo cream, the Buffalo, like the bourbon cream. They had Blanton's.
Yes.
So is that 6? I think there were 6 things on there. So that was pretty good, I thought.
It was nice. It was cool.
So yeah, that's what I remember from the trail piece of it. And then of course we got our allocated Blanton's bottles, and that's what we have today. This one's almost gone. I think we've been to Buffalo Trace, I don't know how many times, but I think 3 times we've gotten Blanton's.
Yeah. Yes.
One time we did get E.H. Taylor.
Yes.
Every other time we've gotten Blanton's. I'll tell you a little bit about this bottle. I think almost everybody in the world knows about Blanton's, but I'll give you a few specs on it. So Blanton's is considered the original single barrel bourbon. It is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Of course, it is distilled at Buffalo Trace. They do not disclose their mash bill, nor do they disclose their age statement, but typically it's got to be at least 4 years old to be a straight bourbon whiskey. Its proof is only 93, and the MSRP was around $65 at the time, but $63 at the distillery. This one was aged in warehouse H on RIP 67, and it's barrel number 116. So that is kind of cool. They do handwrite and tell you all the information on each bottle. So if you're ever comparing with your friends, because they are single barrels, so they're not cast strength, obviously. So I can't imagine a cast strength being 93, but they are single barrels. So you will get a little bit different profile with each one. So you may like one bottle of Blanton's slightly more than another bottle of Blanton's. It's very possible because they are single barrels. And there's a book called Warehouse H, which I thought was very fascinating. Someone that is so into Blanton's, and they've just really studied everything that goes on in that warehouse and all the different ones. And I think we watched a video that Mash and Drum did where they interviewed the guy in his place and all the Blantons that he has. I mean, it's kind of wild, really.
Yeah. And I think he was missing like 2 or 3, and he had one that was in a silver bottle like this that you couldn't see through.
Like actual silver.
And it's one that he had said I don't think he was ever going to open it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the specifics as to why, but that one he wasn't going to.
Well, this is just your everyday Blanton's, but it's got some fond memories for us, and we've certainly shared a lot, as you can see, because we certainly didn't drink all that. But let's go ahead and jump into the taste from the trail and see what we think.
Okay.
It's pretty light golden, very golden. It's a pretty color. I mean, it's
light.
It's got some little legs forming. It's actually kind of nice considering the proof point.
I've got the rim. I don't have any legs
it's
yet.
Starting to drip.
At least legs on my bourbon. It's fine.
Yeah, it's good. Let's check out the nose. It's light.
Caramel.
I'm getting some citrus. A little lemon zest, maybe. It smells very fresh.
To me, it smells very floral.
Like a honeysuckle, maybe?
Possibly.
You said caramel, I'm getting very faint caramel. It's not the dominant nose for me. I said that zest was coming through, and I could see like the honeysuckle piece, maybe. Let's go ahead and taste it.
Yep.
So recalling our first visit at Buffalo Trace and to Blanton.
Yep.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'll say this is our first taste of the day, and it's a pretty easy first taste. I mean, I feel it's warm because it is the first taste of the day, but we often plan, if we're doing more than one tasting, we plan them in order of proof or mash bill.
It's light. It's given me for 93. It's given me a little bit of a hug because I can kind of feel it going down.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's the first drink feeling or what, but
I'm going to hit it again.
I am too, and I am getting some legs on it. It doesn't have a lot of layers of flavor. I think that's my biggest thing with it, is that it's very light, not just from a proof standpoint, but it's light from layers. There's not a lot of layers. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, and I'm kind of leaning toward it might even be a little more honey-like than caramel-like. I'm not getting the rich caramel flavor from it.
I'm getting just a light bit of caramel myself. I am getting black pepper. On the back.
Interesting. Like on your finish?
Kind of, but is it not quite the finish, but just before it? I didn't really analyze the back, but I started thinking, I was tasting, it's like getting pepper.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure because that first taste was, that first taste of the day thing. We usually warm up, but I didn't think we needed to with a 93 proofer. I was thinking for the palate, it was more like I was getting some spice, but it wasn't cinnamon-like. It was everything's very light, so like a light nutmeg was what I was getting on the palate for spice. But then on the finish, it was more. I was kind of thinking white pepper, but that because everything to me, this just screams light, light, light in all kinds of ways. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, I'm still getting like that lemon zest thing.
I would buy that.
And honeysuckle kind of flavors and light nutmeg. It doesn't have a lot of viscosity.
Oh.
It doesn't really have a really soft mouthfeel where it's kind of getting into every nook and cranny just to make the flavor last, because it kind of dissipates off your tongue pretty quickly.
For me, it's very dry in the back, but usually if I get something that tends to be really dry, it's very oaky, and I would not call this oaky or woody at all.
I would not call this. I'm not getting any barrel notes, really.
No, it's 93.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I can see why people like it, but I can see why people gravitate towards this. It's a very easy sipper, super easy to sip on.
Well, I mentioned the fact of proof, and I'd like to correct myself with that because We recently reviewed the Orphan Barrel Fang, which is a 92 proof, and it had a lot of flavor. This one here, I think it's a good beginner's bourbon. It's not going to kill you on the palate.
Mm-hmm.
There is some stuff there. It is smooth.
Mm-hmm. Very smooth.
Yeah.
I would say the difference, I mean, there's many differences, but probably the benefit that the Fang Pursuit has is it's 17 years old.
Right.
Therefore, you got layers of barrel notes here. This is typically around 4 to 5 years old, so we're not getting the benefit of the barrel here very much. That's why it's so light in color too, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
But those are things that go into whether or not you enjoy it or not, right? I mean, some people don't like to get barrel notes, so this is ideal for you. And some people like a lighter proof. Again, ideal for you. It's not going to hit you in the head with a lot of heavy spice on your palate, or even burn you to death going down. So if you're looking for that lighter look, Blanton's probably the way to go.
So
but this was fun revisiting this. We do not open this bottle very often.
Well, we don't. This is kind of a special bottle because it was very early on, and it's when Buffalo Trace. It was hard to get Blantons at that period of time too.
It was really hard.
It was.
We were thrilled to have it that day. I was tracking the What Does Blanton's Have Today site on Facebook and the website to see, and they were telling your odds of what it was going to be the next few days. I go, we were on the odds to get this, and so I was just so excited. So that's what we really wanted. That's what we got. It's just, over several years, our palates have shifted.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing wrong with this bourbon. It's just we've shifted a little bit.
Yes, and it might be something you really love,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a purpose for any of it. Even if it's something you tremendously dislike, you can cook with it.
Yeah.
So.
Or make cocktails with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's wrap with that. And let's give a big cheers to Buffalo Trace, Freddie Johnson, and everyone that's out there. Their hospitality is outstanding. Your property is gorgeous. We've enjoyed every time that we've been out there, and we look forward to coming out again in the near future. If you like what we've done, hit that subscribe button, and always remember to drink responsibly. Cheers.
Cheers.